A few residents of Kamuto village, Kamuto sub-county in Bukedea district are returning to their collapsed homesteads, trying to eke a living in the aftermath of heavy flooding that engulfed 4 sub-counties in Bukedea district last Sunday night. After heavy rains in the Elgon region, in the eastern part of the country, River Sironko burst its banks, flooding the sub-counties of Kamuto, Aminit, Kolir, and Kangole. Over 2,200 people were left homeless.
That the water broke out in the place. Much water which has never appeared since in this area of ours, mostly down where we stay. And now it has forced us to move away from the area, and we are now just camped here in the church. The church has given us a condition that on Friday this very week we have to move away because they are going to bring a priest who is going to work here. So the church also has few accommodation where it can accommodate us.
The ground is still soggy. The mattresses are still wet, so people will have to make do with the cold ground at night.
Some of us right now here, we just cut grass and put down and we sleep on. Even these nets have gone with water, even saucepans and plates. All water took, and some got broken in the house as the house fall on them.
In February, the Climate Prediction and Application Center of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development in Eastern Africa, or IGAD, released the March to May 2024 seasonal forecast, which indicated a higher probability of wetter than normal conditions for most parts of the Greater Horn of Africa. The highest probabilities for wetter than usual conditions are indicated in central to western Kenya and in the cross-border areas of Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. For the past 2 weeks, heavy floods have swept through parts of Kenya and Tanzania, displacing people and destroying livelihoods. Environmental activists blame the floods on the effects of the El Nino climate pattern.
That you've got higher temperatures for the Indian Ocean on the western front, which is now our East African coastline, Mombasa and so on, if you like. And you still have the impact of El Nino. So the seas have warmed the other side and they are pushing a lot of moisture here. But climate change is also a factor there because the globe has warmed.
Proskovia Nanyonjo Vikman, the board chairperson of Climate Action Network Uganda, says environmental degradation has enhanced the impact of the floods.
The highlands, also Kenya has some parts of the highlands, they are not as affected as the lowlands. But these winds will come in even if you're on the hilltop and you don't have the windbreakers. They will come and still pick your rooftop.
How preserved are the forests? How preserved are the wetlands? Because if these ecosystems are in healthy state, even if it rains a lot, the impact of flooding may not be as bad as you are seeing now.
Uganda has 3 rainy seasons, with the first one running from March to May, then June to August, and September to November. George William Omoni, the manager for forecasting services at the Uganda National Meteorology Authority, says the seasonal forecast indicated that the country would receive enhanced rainfall until May.
The too much rainfall over Kenya, I will see the impact is coming on our Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is going to displace the people who are along the shores. So that is where we should be worried more. Uganda, is on the downside of Lake Victoria.
Last month, the United Nations released the Global Report on Food Crisis 2024, which confirmed that in 2023, nearly 282 million people in 59 countries faced high levels of acute food insecurity. In Uganda, the arrival of floods has fueled concerns over shortages of food.
There is that maize that we were given by the Minister of Maize for this season. People plowed the chambers, others even hired the chambers, but all in all, they planted, the seeds have died down. The whole cassava now, it has rotten. Even this cassava that you caught me when I'm eating, the cassava is smelling water, it has got rotten.
So let's brace ourselves for the food insecurity, but also disease is coming up. And then the other one that probably people don't know, that domestic violence is going to be in an increase. So there are triple effects.
In the urban centers, environmental degradation coupled with poor physical planning has compounded the situation. For instance, 3 weeks ago, Country Lake Resort in Garuga along Entebbe Road was submerged in floods.
We need to be open enough and say, how do we plan for our development? Because you cannot have cities with concrete after concrete. Cities need to breathe.
In 2020, Uganda was ranked 15th globally and first in Africa among countries most affected by climate-related natural disasters. Over 80% of the districts in Uganda are prone to droughts, with over 20% of the population exposed to the impacts of floods.
The capacity to respond is very, very low. Because to respond to these challenges, you need a bit of money. You need actually substantial resources to be able to respond, either to relocate people, to do restoration.
While Uganda has a number of environmental laws and presidential directives, Anthony Wolimbwa, the national coordinator for the Climate Action Network Uganda, says lack of enforcement has brought us to this point.
Because if they did some enforcement, you just imagine Kampala here where people have built everywhere in wetlands and they are building without any due regard to environmental considerations. So there's a problem of lack of enforcement from the government.
The enhanced rainfall the country and the region are facing is likely to positively impact agriculture, water resources, and livelihoods. The earlier the country ups its emergency response rate and adaptation to climate-resilient strategies and agriculture, the better for everyone. Gillian Nantume, NTV, Weekend Edition.